channel. I'm back to break down this 11-game MLB DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Before we get into the breakdown, if you do enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. I haven't been getting the most of those likes lately, so if you could hit that like button, I really do greatly appreciate that. I'll be here all MLB DFS season long, breaking down these MLB DFS slates to help you guys become better MLB DFS players and help you guys win some money night in and night out. And then don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my home run call of the day. And if you are getting very serious about MLB DFS and interested in some further content from me, really looking to expand your bankroll and really make some money at this thing, check out my premium package. It's linked below in the description. You get access to all the same tools that I use in both my own MLB DFS lineups, as well as direct access to me. You get my MLB cheat sheet, power rankings, and the Discord chat to discuss the slate with all of the other KJK DFS members. So good stuff going on over there. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start breaking down this slate today. So as always, I'd like to go ahead and start my sheet by K rate. It's fantasy sports. We get points for strikeouts, and the top guy on the slate today is going to be Kyle Muller, taking on the San Diego Padres. We have a limited sample size with a 15 innings pitch sample size this year, but so far a 31.3% K overall, a 16.7 swinging strike rate, 30.8% K rate against righties, and a 33.3% K rate against lefties. Has been very good. Literally the only thing he's struggling with is the fly ball rate to right-handed hitting, being that he's a left-handed hurler himself. That does make some sense. And it's in Atlanta. It's looking like there could be a lot of rain in this one, so we have to keep an eye on the weather. I'm not even sure if he's going to be in a situation where he can really even pitch, but taking on a Padres team also that doesn't strike out a bunch, not going to be the top option on the slate for sure. But as far as the K rate, this guy's really shown a lot of stuff. You do get a discount on him over on FanDuel at 6.7. As far as DraftKings is concerned, you got to pay 7.6. So maybe a solid relief option that we know has been pitching very well that you could possibly look into. Of course, the San Diego Padres matchup makes it a little less enticing, but guy you could look to today. Shohei Ohtani taking on the Oakland Athletics, a 30.7% K overall, 14% swinging strike rate, 36.8% K rate against righties, and a 25.9% K rate against lefties. So we do prefer to target him against right-handed heavy lineups, if at all possible, with that inflated K rate against right-handed hitting. And when you're looking at this Oakland Athletics lineup up and down, they do have quite a few righties. Of course, the middle of the order, they do have those three lefties in Olsen, Lowry, and Moreland. But other than that, you're really only dealing with Seth Brown at the bottom of the order. And for that reason, this could be a great matchup for Ohtani. And then you're factoring that it's in Oakland. Looking at the chart that I always like to show you guys as far as the Oakland Coliseum, you can see it is very effective as far as a pitcher's ballpark. A lot of red going on there as far as hitters are concerned. Not the best ballpark to target for hitting, but as far as pitching, we like to target this ballpark. So Ohtani is definitely going to make some sense today. Kevin Gausman would be a great option, except for the fact that he's taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's going to be a very tough match for him. He does have a 30+% K rate against both sides of the plate. Does do a good job getting the ball on the ground, limiting hard contact. It's just the matchup. But we have a guy like Ohtani that we just discussed in not such a hard matchup, but they're talking about a guy taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Of course, that's a little bit less than ideal. The Dodgers only do have a 4.13 implied run total. You could definitely look to target him as more of a contrarian play, but it's always going to be tough targeting the Dodgers, so I'm not really sure that's the place that I would be looking to go. Yu Darvish taking on Atlanta as a team that does strike out quite a bit. They no longer have Ronald Acuna. As far as targeting them, I would like the spot if the weather is going to be good enough to actually target the guy. Atlanta's still a pretty good lineup up and down, but I do think there's plenty of strikeouts to be had throughout this lineup, and for that reason, I think Yu Darvish could really tear them up and have a big performance. So I would have interest in him at 11.2 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, he's priced at 9.2. As far as returning off the IL, he did complete a completed bullpen session Saturday and remains on track. And he said he's 100% and he's ready to go. So it seems to be more of it was an illness thing. So he shouldn't have any restrictions at all. I'm always looking at the IL just to confirm that there's not going to be restrictions when he comes off it for you guys. It does look like he's going to be good to go, so I'd expect him to be good to go. Tony Gonsolin taking on the San Francisco Giants. This guy you could definitely be looking to a 28.7% K overall, 13.4 swinging strike rate, 36.4% K rate against righties, and only a 23.4% K rate against lefties. So that's the only issue. Also a guy that we really want to target against right-handed heavy lineups if at all possible, and the Giants definitely have a lot of lefties. So, of course that's a little bit of a downside to playing him today, but yeah, I mean, that's just, it doesn't correlate with the matchup. So him, as far as the play, might not be the guy you're getting the most excited to play, especially when we have some other guys in some great matchups. Pivetta taking on Toronto, really not a lineup I like to target at all. Toronto Blue Jays lineup is absolutely loaded with talent. You could make an argument that maybe he has a lot of K upside. I will be looking at some Vegas K props, as I always do when I make these decisions to play guys in my lineup. And if he really stands out from that aspect, maybe I'll reevaluate. But the next guy you could be looking to is Caleb Smith taking on Pittsburgh. He's really not the greatest overall, to be honest, but he does have a pretty good K rate. He really just struggles against right-handed power. And it can be a matchup reliant thing. The Pittsburgh Pirates really don't scare us. The only problem is they haven't been striking out a lot lately. They do have 4.49 implied run total, which is a little bit scary for me considering, their talent. So for that reason, Caleb Smith probably isn't the next guy that I'd be going to. It would be definitely Kyle Gibson taking on the Detroit Tigers. It's going to be a great matchup for Kyle Gibson. 21.7% K overall, 11.3 swing strike rate, good in the ground ball, fly ball stuff. A 24.5% K rate against righties and an 18.5% K rate against lefties. Do prefer to target him against right-handed heavy matchups if at all possible, but the Detroit Tigers are a team that strikes out a bunch. They do not really scare us at all, to be honest. It's in Detroit, decent pitching environment, and yeah, I think Gibson's in a great spot to get some Ks inflated here. The Detroit Tigers strike out a bunch, most in the league, and it's just a no-brainer when you're looking to target a team that really strikes out. Detroit, typically the guys that you want to target, so Kyle Gibson is definitely going to be a viable option for sure today. We have Casey Mize taking on Detroit in that same game. Casey Mize taking on Texas in that same game. He's a guy that's very easy to sum up, very good against righties, not so good against lefties. Doesn't have the highest K rate in the world, but with that being said, Texas is a team that strikes out a bunch. I think this is a matchup that you could possibly really see Mize have a big K performance as well. I also think it's going to be interesting to stack up the Texas lefties, but we'll get to that when we get to bats. Ryan Yarbrough taking on Baltimore is a team that we've been targeting quite a bit as well. Another guy that does a good job as far as hard contact is concerned, but doesn't really have the highest K rate specifically against right-handed hitting. Does lefties, he does, but it's in Tampa Bay, which is a great pitching environment. Pulling up that diagram here as far as the Trop is concerned, you can see Tampa Bay, a lot of red going on out there in the outfield, so I'm always interested in targeting pitchers here. He's a 229 favorite. As far as his pitch count in these last few games, you can see he's got up to 104 last time. 96, 67, 98, 71, 104. So he's been a little all over the place. Tampa Bay can have a tendency to have a short leash on their pitchers. That's the only concern here with me when it comes to Yarbrough. But I tend to think if he's pitching good, they're going to just leave him in there. And, of course, the goal is to have your guy dominate when he's out there and you're putting him in your fantasy lineup. So, Ryan Yarbrough is definitely a guy that I would have interest in today. And then once we get past him, things definitely start to decline as far as my interest is concerned. We do have some guys in some matchups like John Lester taking on Miami. Sure, you could always target Miami. Jake Woodford taking on Chicago. They're a team that strikes out a lot. He just doesn't really have the greatest strikeout stuff, to be honest, but you could definitely look there. Zach Greinke taking on Cleveland is another situation where maybe you could get some high strikeouts out of him, even though he's not the greatest strikeout pitcher. He does do a good job of keeping the ball on the ground. He is a great real-life pitcher. He just doesn't really have that elite K stuff anymore that he used to have back in the day. And maybe we could be looking to the Cleveland Indians to help us with that, because I don't know. When I look at their lineup, I'm not really all too concerned if there's a guy that can really control the ball game. And I think Greinke's that guy, so he could be one of the last guys you look to today. And with that being said, let's go ahead and transition over to bats. As always, I like to go ahead and sort my sheet by Sierra, scale interactive ERA. It's a good way of determining how good a pitcher's been in his career so far, or how good he's been in the season so far, and how good he's expected to be in the future. And the worst on the slate today is going to be Spencer Watkins taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Ground ball, fly ball stuff is terrible. He gets up a 458 slugging to righties against lefties. It looks a lot better than I have a feeling it's going to be because of the sample size. We're only dealing with about a 10 innings pitch sample size. He's been getting absolutely lit up, though, for the most part, and the Rays have a high run total. I mentioned it's not the best hitting environment, and they have a 5.16 implied run total. So I tend to think that's a good telltale sign as to how Vegas feels about this guy. I don't think they think he's going to be doing much of anything. And for that reason, you can definitely be going ahead and targeting these Tampa Bay Rays today. Brandon Lowe, G-Man Choi, Wander Franco, Austin Meadows, Joey Wendell, Kevin Kiermaier, Mike Zunino, Taylor Walsh, Brett Phillips. You got to like the whole Rays lineup. The only downside is the ballpark, but we're not scared of Watkins. We're not scared of the Baltimore Orioles bullpen. And the Rays could definitely have a big performance today. Nick Nieder taking on the Washington Nationals. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's terrible. Hard contact stuff is respectable. He still does go up a 400 slugging to righties, though, and a 475 slugging to lefties. Been pretty bad against both sides of the plate, but against lefties specifically, he's been really, really dreadful. Over 20 innings pitch sample size at this point now. So can definitely target Nieder. It does look like there's conflicting reports on whether it's going to be Nieder or Rogers. I have been doing pretty good about predicting the starters. As far as when there's been conflicting reports, of course, now that I say that, this one's not going to go that way, but I'm just going to talk about it as if it's Nieder because I do think it will be him. Typically speaking, I've been pulling the pitchers off DraftKings, and they have been pretty accurate. So as far as facing Nieder, already mentioned, really bad, especially against left-handed hitter. So, I mean, Juan Soto is going to be a great play. Josh Bell's going to be a great play. But up and down the order, Trey Turner, Josh Harrison, Jody Mercer, Rene Rivera, Victor Robles, Escobar, definitely a viable stack. I know it's not the prettiest lineup in the world, but it's in Washington. Great hitting weather, 85 degrees, 5-mile-an-hour winds blowing out. Great hitting ballpark. I think it's definitely a spot you could be looking to today. Jared Eichhoff taking on the Cincinnati Reds has been terrible. 12 innings pitched this season. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's terrible. Hard contact stuff terrible. A 407 slugging out to righties with a 1.037 slugging out to lefties, which is the worst thing I've ever seen. Keep in mind, it's only a 12 innings pitch sample size, but that's a clear issue to left-handed hitting in a major way. So the Cincinnati Reds stack definitely going to be one that you could be looking to today. They have a 5.42 implied run total. It's in Cincinnati, the Great American Small Park, as we always like to call it. And, you know, when you're looking at the Great American Ballpark, a lot of green going on there as far as home runs. So this is going to be a great spot for the Reds. Jonathan India, Jesse Winker, Joey Votto, Tyler Naquin, you know, those lefties specifically, I made it clear, but really going to like them. Nick Castellanos in the 3 spot, of course, has a bunch of pop. Eugenio Suarez has a bunch of pop. Tucker Barnhart, Kyle Farmer. Gotta like this Cincinnati Reds stack today for sure. And then John Lester taking on Miami. He's very easy to explain. Good against lefties, terrible against righties. A 582 slugging up to right-handed hitting, a 421 WOBA, 12.3% strikeout rate. Does not strike out anyone. And pretty much any right-handed bat with power, you're definitely going to have some interest in when it comes to John Lester. Pulling up the Miami Marlins lineup here, you can see Miguel Rojas, Starling Marte, Garrett Cooper, Adam Duvall, Jesus Aguilar. Actually, a pretty good lineup when it comes to facing off against left-handed pitching. It's in Washington, as mentioned, a great hitting environment. Big ballpark upgrade moving from Miami to Washington, so I definitely think the Miami Marlins are going to be a sneaky stack that if they don't get the ownership today, you could definitely be looking to. Vladimir Gutierrez taking on the New York Mets in that same Cincinnati game. Also very bad. A 471 slugging up to righties. He has been a lot better against lefties as far as hard contact and slugging. Still not too impressive, though. I'm still not scared to target him, but with the righties, I'm really intrigued. So, of course, you know, Pete Alonso, home run derby champ, is going to be at the top of my list today. J.D. Davis. And then, as mentioned, I really don't mind going to these lefties, especially there's 8-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to right field, 84-degree weather. Great spot. Brandon Nimmo, Jeff McNeil, Dominic Smith, Michael Conforto. This line's finally getting healthy, too. That's obviously a big telltale sign as to wanting to stack them. The healthier, you know, the more imposing threat, the more runners on base, the more traffic. Definitely going to like these New York Mets today for sure as well. We have Chase DeJong taking on Arizona. Arizona's not the most stacked lineup in the world, but this guy has been absolutely terrible. You can see across the board as far as my color-coded data sheet. I mean, the guy stands out in a major way. I mean, all red, ground ball, fly ball stuff's terrible, hard contact stuff's terrible. Against righties, he's a 515 slugging up to righties. Against lefties, he's a 553 slugging up to lefties. And he literally has no strong suits outside of his strikeout rate to right-handed hitting. So if you're targeting righties that strike out a lot, that could be an issue. But other than that, even that, it's only 22% K rate. It's in Arizona. It's a great hitting ballpark, one that I love to target for sure. A lot of green and yellow going on out there at Chase Field, so no issues with you going to this stack today. Josh Rojas, Cole Calhoun, Eduardo Escobar, Christian Walker, David Peralta, Pavin Smith, Nick Ahmed, Dalton Varsho. Great spot. Pittsburgh Pirates bullpen has been terrible as well. Gotta like going to them. As far as Jake Woodford's concerned, taking on the Chicago Cubs, he's very simple to sum up here. Been very good against righties, very bad against lefties. So I'm really looking to target him with the left-handed bats that crack the Chicago Cubs lineup. And that's going to be Anthony Rizzo, Jason Hayward, Ian Happ, and Rafael Ortega. Other than that, really not all that intrigued, to be honest. And it's in St. Louis, which isn't the best hitting ballpark at all. So I'm not getting too excited there. And then as we continue along here, we have Caleb Smith taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates in that same Arizona ball game. As far as stuff's concerned, really bad in the hard contact fly ball category to right-handed hitting. Against lefties, it doesn't get all that much better, to be honest with you. But generally speaking, you're not looking to target lefty on lefty, and Caleb Smith is a lefty, of course. So I still think you can play Adam Frazier at the top of the order. I have no issues with that. But Ke'Bryan Hayes, Brian Reynolds, Jacob Stallings, John Nogowski, Will Randifo are really going to be the ones I'm looking to. Kevin Newman. My favorites probably being Ke'Bryan Hayes, Jacob Stallings, and Kevin Newman out of those guys. But then pretty much any righties. I mean, you're looking to stack. And then Adam Frazier's been good enough at the top of the lineup where I don't have an issue with you playing him. He's probably going to get no ownership. If you're stacking up, keep him included in your stack. You know, a lefty that's going to get no ownership, and maybe you'd be looking pretty in tournaments as far as being contrarian with a really good stack. So, Zach Greinke's been really struggling against right-handed power for the most part. If you want to go to the Cleveland right-handed bats, I'm not really too intrigued to target Cleveland overall as a stack. But if you want to play like Framel Reyes or Harold Ramirez, I would play crazy. I mean, Framel in the 4-hole would definitely be my favorite play there, taking on Greinke for sure. And then we have JC Mejia and Casey Mize, both of guys of which are good against right-handed hitting, but really struggle against lefties. So definitely going to have interest in the Houston lefties and the Texas lefties. In that same Houston game, Michael Brantley, Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, Abraham Toro, going to have interest in all of them. And then the Texas game, Brock Holt, Nate Lowe, Joey Gallo, Jonah Heim, David Dahl, Jason Martin, all those lefties are the ones you want to be targeting there for sure. And as we continue along here, from there on, there's really only a few other guys, and it's pretty simple. Nick Pivetta and Ross Stripling in the same game are both reverse splitsy pitchers that really struggle with giving up a lot of hard contact to righties. Honestly, both of them, I don't mind targeting the lefties either. It's not like they're that impressive in that category. And then Alec Mills is very similar as far as targeting lefties, but St. Louis I'm not that interested in. So really rounding things out here, it's going to be this Boston-Toronto game. Definitely some good hitting weather here. Definitely some high totals to be expected. 75 degrees, 11-mile winds blowing right to left. Not the best hitting weather in the world, I guess, so I should correct myself there. But I just think it's a great spot for hitting. Both very good lineups. Both guys that give up a lot of hard contact. And they're pretty reliant on facing watered-down lineups, I'd say. Like both of their repertoires favor just taking on left-handed heavy lineups that strike out a lot, because other than that, they're not going to really get much done. They both have a higher K rate against lefties, but yeah, I like both these lineups a lot today. So it's really 1 through 9. They're both absolutely loaded lineups. On the Boston side, you got Enrique Hernandez, Alex Verdugo, JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, Hunter Renfroe, Jarren Duran, Kevin Plawecki, Bobby Dahlbeck, just loaded lineup. On the Toronto side, you got Marcus Semien, Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., George Springer, Teoscar Hernandez, Randall Grichuk, Kevon Biggio, Lourdes Gurriel. You know, you got to love these lineups. They're both just loaded with talent. They're both taking on pitchers that are giving a lot of hard contact, and for that reason, I'll definitely have interest in both sides of this game. And with that being said, that's my overall breakdown on this one. Before I let you guys go, I got to give you my home run call of the day. Let's get into it. And my home run call of the day today is going to be Jesse Winker taking on Jared Eichhoff. I'd mentioned his hard contact usage against left-handed hitting. Really, really bad. Stands off the page. A 1.037 slugging given up so far in the year with a 45.8% hard contact rate. 606 WOBA, 50% fly ball rate. A lot of fly balls with only a 10% K rate and only a 6.9% walk rate. Expected to be pitched too early and often. Really struggles against left-handed hitting, and then when you break down the repertoire, very reliant on the fastball, slider, curveball combination. He'll go to the fastball about 36.9% of the time to left-handed hitting so far on the season. Jesse Winker features a 238 ISO with a 413 WOBA against that pitch, right around the 91 to 92 mile an hour range. And then the slider, 30% of the time, Winker crushes as well. A 203 ISO with a 348 WOBA. And finally, the curveball, there's not an issue either. A 221 ISO with a 296 WOBA. Really struggles against lefties. Jesse Winker in great hitting weather in the Great American Small Park. Great hitting environment to target. Love this spot for him. 8-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to right field. 84 degrees. Get him in your lineups because he is my home run call of the day. So there you have it, guys. Jesse Winker, get him in your lineups. And that is all from me in this one. If you did enjoy the content, if you could please leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new content that I upload. That would be greatly appreciated. Wish you guys all the best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one.